We love living local. We are Scott and Kelly Grates, third generation Central New Yorkers who live, work, and play right here in the heart of New York.
The mission of this podcast is to shine a spotlight on the people, places, and events that make our community an amazing place to live.
We don't run ads. We don't talk politics. Our only ask is that you help us spread the love that we have for this community by sharing these episodes with your neighbors.
Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode.
So every Wednesday, we come to you with another edition of Hey Neighbor, and it's our mission to feature somebody pretty amazing doing awesome things right here in our community. Today, we're going to be, I'm going to be solo, and we are going to take this in a little different direction because we are going to honor a man who is no longer here with us. But he was certainly a man who loved living local. And, as many of you know, my father, Paul Grates, you'll hear me refer to him as Pop, as most people did, especially the grandchildren, my children. It's been a long, week, to say the least. It's been a long couple of weeks, actually. But the days that followed my father's passing early last week reminded me and my family, just why we love living local, why he loved living local. And, it's interesting. I'm always fascinated by time. And one of the things that stood out, and my brother was here with me the day after we laid him to rest. And he said, it's wild how everything just keeps going. And our worlds were kind of shook and certainly stopped for a little bit, but nothing else does. And that's how time works. Time waits for no one. Time marches on, whether you're ready or not, whether you want it to or not. And for some people, they have all the time in the world. Some people never have enough time. But at the end of the day, time truly is infinite. It's broken into 24 hours. We all get the same 24 hours. And when your time is up, that's it. But it means your time's up, not everyone else's. And so, I share that because we've gotten a little off track with the podcast the past week or so. Because time does keep going. Every morning you wake up, it's a new day. And even though our world stopped for a little bit, nothing else did. So apologies there. You probably didn't want the weekly recap. You definitely didn't want the weekend buzz from us, because last weekend was one of the toughest we've ever had. And while we watched some football, we've been away from our home field advantage football talk. But we'll get back on track. It sounds cliche, but it's true. It's what my old man would have wanted. And we have no choice, frankly, because time keeps going. So what I'm going to do here is a little bit different today. You're going to get a little bit of a weekly recap and certainly feature some people and businesses and organizations that really stepped up and stood out and helped out as best they could over the past week and a half. Those that knew my father, that that he was raised right here in Central New York. He lived here his entire life, 73 years. He worked here. He coached youth sports here. He was at just about every school event that took place. He was at all the sporting events he was at. You could find him at the local coffee shop talking about or reporting on everything that had happened in the past 24 hours. He was a proud member of the Kiwanis Club, the Frankfurt chapter. The man did almost nothing online. Actually, he never even had a credit card, so it was very difficult for him to do things online. But man, he lived local, he shopped local, he worked local, he supported all things local, especially the kids. Had a true passion for the youth in our community. And so today we're going to celebrate some people, and I apologize in advance. I'm still trying to get through all the cards, and there's more that come daily. And, in this digital era, just keeping up with text messages and emails and Facebook notifications is truly a full-time job. It's awesome. I am not complaining about any of it. It's awesome to just know, the impact he made, and the love that this community and different groups of friends, and we'll talk about how diverse his group of friends were. But I made a list here, and I just want to kind of go through rapid fire, give some shout outs, give some acknowledgments to all things local. And I want to start at a place that, is kind of, I guess, controversial. We pride ourselves on not talking politics, and I'm not going to here, but I know this for many is a political issue. It's a money issue, but we're going to talk about the new hospital. The joke I was making with my father while he, his first couple days in the hospital, we could still communicate. He loved checking out new things, anything local that was new. It was exciting for him. He wanted to check it out. The Wynn Hospital opened the last Sunday of October, and he checked in on Thursday, November 2nd. So he booked himself a room at the Wynn right away so he could check it out 5 days after they opened. So here's my take on the hospital. A hospital is a building, right? It's got some brick, it's got some wood, it's got windows, right? It's a facility. It's a building. It's the people inside of the hospital that make it what it is. And so, I look at the hospital as an entity. Yes, it's new. Yes, you can say that it shouldn't be there, or it should have been different, or it should have been, closer to complete before they opened it. Yes, the parking situation is brutal. They had some issues out of the gate, but look, it's not how you start anything, it's how you finish. And most importantly, and the biggest thing I want to talk about here, and then I'll move on, is that the people that are in the hospital, they're going through some stuff right now. Transition is not easy. Change is difficult for all people, but these are local people doing the very best they can. And I can say with complete confidence that, it is an awesome crew. At least everyone that we dealt with, specifically the nurses, were truly amazing. And like, everyone's got their opinion, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. But I would like to give a shout out to those that are working through this transition, those that are on the front lines, those that are true heroes. And I know we gave some love beyond what we normally do to nurses during COVID, just because the whole COVID thing has ended, sort of. The nurses are still there every single day, busting their butts and doing the best they can for the people that need treatment. And so for that reason, I salute you, and especially with all of the bumps with the new place. But, like I said, the place is a building. We'll figure it out from there. Look, when this thing happened, it's a whirlwind. So it was around dinner time on Tuesday. We had less than 72 hours to get family in, to get everyone notified, to work with the funeral home and get services in the cemetery. And there's just a million moving parts. And oh, by the way, you're grieving, right? So it's everything's kind of surreal, and it makes you dizzy, frankly, during the whole process. But big shout out to Marty Ciaccia. Marty Ciaccia is with Enea, Applegate, and Ciaccia, and I apologize if I got the order wrong, but the funeral home on Acme Road in Frankfurt, right from the very beginning, right through today, presently, Marty was there. He was kind, he was compassionate, he was professional, did a phenomenal job. So thank you to Marty and his team. Going back to not this past stint, but my father's been battling some stuff for the past 3.5 years. And, he spent some time along the way, different rehab stints at the Foltsbrook Center in Herkimer, and Mark Scalise and Aaron Obrien specifically always looked out for him, always did right by him. He didn't want to be there. Nobody wants to be in such a facility, obviously. But they certainly went out of their way to make everything as good as it could be for him while he was there. So thank you to Mark and Aaron and the Foltsbrook Center. Want to say thank you to Vic, Tarris, and the Brass Tack restaurant in Frankfurt. We didn't know how many people to expect. We did everything all in one day. Celebration of a Life capped it off Friday evening. I got a hold of Vic, and within 36 hours, he had the event fully catered. So thank you to Vic and his team at the Brass Tack restaurant. And thank you to the American Legion, Post 845 on Litchfield Street in Frankfurt, Richie Paw, Chris Evans. With one phone call, they had the hall ready for us. They had tables set up. They had tablecloths set up. They, really, it was just a turnkey deal on a short notice. And Vic was able to get in there with the food, and Richie would not take any money. So that was donated, and truly appreciate that. Meats on Main, they just opened in Frankfurt, and 2 weeks into being open, generously donated cold cuts and some bread. And when you're just starting a business, I can attest to this, funds are a little tight. So something that certainly didn't need to be done, wasn't, it was just very kind. So thank you to Meats on Pain in Frankfurt. And, big shout out to Brandon Ciallelo. Brandon is the owner of B's Barbershop, again, in Frankfurt, on the corner of Frankfurt and Main Street. Brandon cut my old man's hair. He didn't have a lot of hair much of his life, but the little bit he had, Brandon cut for him for many years, probably 20 plus years. He's been my barber ever since we moved back here to central New York. And my brother needed a haircut. He was in from Virginia. I had to get a haircut morning of the services. Brandon would not take any money from us, which was truly kind of him, generous. And we're going to take what we would have paid for the haircut and put it towards my father's legacy fund, which we'll talk about in a minute. Cafe CaNole, Jason and Christy Knoll, Cafe CaNole in New Hartford, sent food, sent pastries, tremendous stuff. Just awesome food, amazing pastries, and can't thank them enough for doing that. Tammy Palumbo from Saturday Spreads sent a nice basket with charcuterie, different spreads and breads and cheeses and crackers and whatnot. And I just want to stop here to preface this with a bazillion friends sent things. And so I don't have time. You don't want to hear them all probably, but there were so many friends who just sent different things to us. But what I'm doing here is just highlighting those that actually own businesses and stepped up and donated some things, which they obviously didn't have to do. Well, the friends didn't have to step up and do it either, but they did. And just again, truly appreciative. Rapid fire, just so many people that knew my old man, that my old man worked with on different levels, people that I worked with, and then he got to know pretty much everyone that I worked with because he was present in everything. Mark and Lori Valent, great friends, fellow Kwanians, All Pro Unlimited, Burt and Tamra Doolen and family from Doolen's Oil. Justin Valone was there for him right through at the end, all the tough years, did home visits and would cut his hair. Justin owns Thunder Cuts in Ilion. Want to thank the following people for showing up and paying their respects and visiting. Nick Rauscher from 30 Creative, Frank Broadbent from Chris Lambert and Associates, Becky Smith from Accent Brokerage, Joe DeSaro from Morgan Stanley, Derek Mika from Precision Financial, Jay Spina, who helps us here, and by helps, that does like most of the heavy lifting, from View Media, Chrissy Carpenter from C Squared Brands, Joe and Vic Costanza from Costanza Insurance, Gina, Ciaccia, and Kim Todd from the Abraham House. Thank you all so much for visiting, for paying your respects. and being there for our family with business and obviously through a time of need here. So many fellow State Farm agents. It really is a brotherhood, sisterhood across the country. Just the well wishes, flowers, food. Just really super appreciative of all of that. Our core group of college friends rallied and sent some gifts as well, which was so awesome to see their names. We talk about love living local. So many local people came back to the area. We had people drive in from all over New York State, from Pennsylvania, from the state of Virginia. One of my brother's close friends, we haven't seen in quite a while, flew in for 24 hours from Virginia. So it was awesome to see him. Shout out to Melanie Welch, who was our first Hey Neighbor guest. She made it a point to allow the teachers to leave a little bit early from the elementary school so they could pay their respects. My father was very involved with the school. It was awesome to see so many kids from the school, primarily the high school kids, many of which came in wearing their maroon and white football jerseys, which he would have loved. He was a huge fan of the maroon and white. It was pretty awesome to see so many classmates from the class of 1969. He graduated from Frankfurt Schuyler, 1969, and so many of them came back as well. My team at the State Farm agencies, we've got the place in Ilion, the place in Utica. It was awesome, obviously to see them, but more importantly, when we talk about owning a small business, so many people immediately go to the work life situation, and you own your own time and you don't have a boss and you can travel and you can golf, and there's this illusion that we make tons of money, and just the it's so amazing to own a small business. And I hear so often, like, it must be nice, or you're so lucky. All these things make my skin crawl. Most of them aren't true, but that's never a whole nother podcast. I bring it up though because at times like this, having such an awesome team like I do, just good humans, frankly, work aside, it's hard if I was punching the clock and had a normal 9 to 5 and a tough boss, and it would be difficult for me to just stop everything for a week and a half and be present with my family like I was able to do. And I was able to do so because my team was there doing what they do at a high level. And again, time waits for no one, and our customers, they don't, frankly care. Not they don't care, but if they have a need, they have a need, right? Doesn't matter what's going on in my life personally. They have a need, it needs to be taken care of. And so my team was there to keep everything going smoothly. So big thanks to them. And big thanks to my wife, who's normally my co-host on this. Running this one solo for some obvious reasons here, but gosh, it just, the amount of calls that had to be made, the amount of texts, the amount of people that had to be notified, the amount of coordinating, the amount of things that she could take off of my plate, frankly, when during some times when I wasn't able to talk, didn't want to talk, didn't want to deal with anything, couldn't deal with things, she soldiered on, and to her I am eternally grateful. So thank you so much there. I'll end with the Frankfurt Kiwanis Club. My father was a member for 33 years, past club president, very active right up until the end. He was at our most recent punt, pass, and kick contest right at the end of, I can't remember if we did it end of September, early October. It was only about 7-8 weeks ago. He was there in his wheelchair and supervising like he did so well. And so, when we talk about legacy, so if I talk about time and my fascination there, I also have to talk about legacy, because we all have limited days to live. We have forever to be remembered. And, the impact that you make during your time here on Earth will determine your ultimate legacy. And it's been said that we all have two dates of death, and the first one is the day we stop breathing, and the second one is the last time somebody speaks your name kindly. And it's my mission to make sure that the name Paul Grates gets spoken with love and kindly as long as I live, and hopefully beyond. So we asked, in lieu of flowers, that donations be made to the Frankfurt Kiwanis Club. Within just a few days, we had over $2,500 in donations. We're going to set up a scholarship fund in my father's name to honor a few things that he truly appreciated. He was a Frankfurt guy through and through. Like I said, class of 69, raised my brother and I in this community. We graduated there as well. He got to watch one of my kids graduate from there last year, and he was present at all the games. He loves sports, and he specifically loved the underdog. It drove him nuts when the same 3 or 4 kids would get every award at the sports banquet and at the graduation. And so we're going to establish the Paul T. Grates Unsung Hero Award, which will be presented annually to some student athletes who gave their all, 100%, even though they weren't going to get the headlines. They weren't the star of the team. There can only be so many stars on the team, sometimes only one. So we're going to honor the kids that show up to every practice, even though they're not going to be the star. They're not going to get the headlines. They encourage others. They work to make others better, and they do so selfishly. And so those were my father's kinds of people. So we're going to honor them annually. And I'll be sure when I kick it to leave an endowment at the school so that goes on forever beyond, my life as well. So I'll end with this. Pop loved living local, truly did. 73 and a half years here in this community. Consistency was his thing. And as I reflected and talked to so many people over the past couple of weeks, I just kept going back to, he was always there. He always showed up. He was always early. He never missed work. He had perfect attendance with the Kiwanis Club. He never missed sporting events and school events and family events. He was there and he was present. And, for that, he'll be missed, because it's just odd that he's not here. But that's my message to you is, be where your feet are in this world of digital distractions and so many different things taking us in so many different places. Be present, and be present with the people who matter, with the people you love, the people who love you. There's so many people in our lives that are demanding of our time and cause stress in our life that, in the drop of a hat will turn on you, and those aren't the people you need to be stressed out and worried about. Be present with those you love. Always show up to the things that matter, because that's what people will remember. And remember, we've got limited time to live and forever to be remembered. And that's what legacy is all about. And time will keep going on, with or without us. So what are you going to do with the time that you have here? There's nothing anyone can say. I heard that so often. I don't know what to say. There's no words. And they're right. There's nothing anyone could say during times like this. And there's really no words. But those that I've heard from, even if I didn't get back to you right away or still haven't gotten back to you, I've read all the cards, I've read all the notes, I've read all the messages, I've heard your voicemails. Those that sent gifts and well wishes and donated things and stepped up for us, for him this past week and a half. You're right. There's nothing you can say, and there's nothing you can do. Because your actions have already spoken for you, and we acknowledge them. We love you all for it. So rest in peace, Pop. We'll see you out there.
Thank you for tuning in to another Love Living Local episode. Before you head out to support all things Central New York, we just have one ask of you. Please help us share the love we have for our community by sharing this podcast with a neighbor of yours. We truly appreciate you. In fact, you are one of the many reasons we love living local.